Hello friends, welcome to Shashu Tech. It has been quite a while since we haven't done any programming video. So the wait is over. Let's get to some programming. In this video, we are going to build some patterns. These are generally asked in medium-sized company in their coding interview rounds. These are used to test your looping skills. In these, I have basically categorized into three parts. One is basic, intermediate, and then the advanced. These are some of the patterns. In this video, we are going to see the basic patterns. These won't be asked in your coding interviews, but these are best to build the logic, and if you have built the logic, you can implement and build any pattern which you wish. So coming to this pattern, the star pattern, here you can see there are 5 horizontal rows. You can think in mind also, when you write it in a horizontal manner, so does a computer. Here we would start the outer loop. We would be using nested loop. Here the outer loop would start from 1 and go to the number of rows. For here, let's suppose n number of rows. In this question, the n is 5. So starting out, the outer loop would start from 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. In each horizontal row, it would run for the number of times that is in I. Starting out, when the number of I, so the value of I is 1, that is the outer loop. The value of I is 1, then the inner loop would run once. When the value of the outer loop is 2, the inner loop would run twice, and thus so and so forth. Okay, and would go on to run till n times. You could define the value by yourself, or you can use a user defined value, suppose n, and you could take the value from the user and then run into the number of rows. Coming to the second, just you can see same. Instead of at the cout or the print statement, we would use here we using a static star pattern. Here we would be implementing the j value, since the inner loop value. Generally, outer loop is taken as I, and the inner loop is called as the j loop. Okay, so here we would start from 1. The outer loop would start from 1 and go till n. So thus here also the inner loop would initially run once, then in the next iteration it would run twice, because the value of the outer loop would increment to 2, and then it would increment to 3, and so on and so forth. And thus the third pattern, we would be only printing the value of I, not the j, because we can see the outer loop runs for 5 times, and thus in each horizontal row we are just printing the value of I, that is the iteration count of the outer loop. In the first horizontal row, the iteration count of the outer loop would be 1. In the second, the iteration count of the outer loop would be 2, and in the third, fourth, and fifth, so correspondingly. Now here you have to test the logic. In this we can see we are starting with 1 iteration count, and then in the last outer loop we are iterating it inside 5 times. Just the difference here is we are alternating the characters. If it is a hash, then the next time we would make it at the rate sign, and if it is at the rate sign present, we would make it into hash. Just these are the simple logics behind these patterns. And now this pattern here, we would the outer loop would be same. We would run for 5 times, but now the inner loop would start from 5 and go on to 1, and decrementing each time, each iteration. Okay, so in the first when the outer loop would run, the inner loop would run for 5 times. Then when the second count is there of the outer loop, then the inner loop would decrement to 4. Okay, so it would go on from 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so it would run from 4 times. Then it would go on for 3 times, then 2 times, and then once. Okay, it's as simple as that. Okay, okay, here, yep. And now in this we can see, before printing the pattern, there are some blank spaces. In the first horizontal row there are 4 blank spaces, in the second horizontal row there are 3 blank spaces, in the third it is 2 blank spaces, and in the fourth row it is 1 blank space. Just same concept, we have to go for 5 times. The loop would run for 5 times, and then before printing the pattern we have to print the spaces. Okay, so we would initially define the space as 4 for this pattern I'm asking. Okay, if we would have n rows, the space would be starting from n minus 1. Okay, since we have here 5 iteration in the last, so the spaces are here for 5 minus 1, that is 4. Okay, so if you have n number of rows, the spaces would start from n minus 1, and then decrementing the space value after each outer iteration. Okay, so the space would be 4 times. The space for loop would run 4 times initially, then 3 times, then 2 times, and after the space is print, we would be printing our inner loop, that is printing the pattern. Okay, and now lastly, this is same as this one. We are printing the value of I, but only twist is we are printing the spaces before it. I hope you got the logic behind these patterns. Now let's get to code. If you have any doubt, I would be solving it in the code. If after that also you get confused, you can read my blog post and even get the source code in the blog post even. Okay, so get to code. I'd be using C++ as a programming language. You could use any programming language, and the IDE I'm using is CodeBlocks. So let's get started. Console application, yeah, C++ would be my language. Pattern 1. Okay, I won't be building all the patterns. I would be building this pattern because it seems quite complicated, and this pattern. Okay, the 4th pattern and the 6th pattern, sorry, the 4th and 7th pattern. Okay, you could build all the patterns and write in the comments below your source code. I would have a look at it. Sources main.cpp, and here it is. I could increase the font size a bit. Yeah, better. So starting out, I would initialize my looping variables, and now the character, so the starting character we have is hash. Okay, now the outer loop would go from I is equals to 1, I smaller than is equals to 5. You could use user defined values here, incrementing the value by 1. And now the inner loop, j is equals to 1 going till j smaller than is equals to I and j plus plus. Now here we are going to check the values. So if ch is equals to, since it's a character, so we can check it. Oh, sorry, we would first print it and then would check it. Yeah, better. We would firstly print the pattern, print, and then check it. If ch is equals to hash sign, then ch would change to @ sign, or else if it is an @ sign, it would change to a hash sign. Yeah, and now after looping after the inner loop is complete, we would have to change the line. So I would do an endl, which is used to change the line. And yeah, we have completed one program, one pattern. There's an issue, oh sorry. Yeah, so I highly recommend firstly reading your, if you ever got your errors in the code, firstly read your errors. You would find all your answers there only. And we are here. Yep, we have built a pattern. I hope you would be able to see it. So here is the pattern. You could see we have built, and after each iteration the characters are being alternated. Firstly it is a hash, then it is going to @, then hash, then @. Okay, it is changing. So we have completed our first program. You could see just the simple logic. The outer loop is going from 1 to n number of rows, and the inner loop is going for the number of the value of the outer loop. And then initially we are printing the value, printing the character, and then checking if the character is a hash, then we are changing it to @ sign, and if it is @ sign, then we are changing it to hash sign. So let's get started to our next project. A new project, console application, C++ would be our preferred language, and then the pattern 2. Yeah, better. And now we are here. All time I have to increase the font size, better. So in this we are going to build this pattern. Okay, 1 2 2 3 3 3 4 4 4 4 and 5 5 5 5 5. Yeah, so let's get started. So firstly we would initialize our looping variables I, j and k also, because k would be used for printing the spaces, and now the sp would correspond to the spaces. Since I have a predefined value of 5, that is my loop would run from 1 to 5, so I am placing this value statically. But if you have arrows, then here sp would go from n minus 1. Okay, so now the outer loop, it would go from I is equals to 1, I smaller than is equals to 5, I plus plus. Before printing the pattern we have to print the space, remember, right? So we have to print the space. K is equals to 1, k would go from 1 to the value of sp, and then k would be incremented by 1. And since we have only one statement, so we can skip the curly braces. So cout just the spaces, and yeah, we have done. And now the printing the pattern for j is equals to 1, j smaller than is equals to I, j plus plus. And we could also do here cout I. And now since we have only one statement with this for loop too, so we can skip the curly braces. If you have problems in understanding or visualizing it, so just put out your curly braces. I tend to skip those somehow. Cout, and then we have to line change. So instead of using endl, this time I would use the escape character, and for line change it is /n or the \n. And then we would decrement the value of sp by 1, so we would use sp minus minus. Save it, and now going to run it. I hope it runs fine, and yeah, here we are. We have built the second pattern even. So here we can see we have 4 spaces in the first row, 3 spaces in the second row, 2 spaces in the third, and 1 space in the fourth. And we are printing the value of I of each iteration. So here it is. I hope you would like the video. I would be linking my blog post in the description. You could download the source code there also and can read the blog post if you don't understand, if you had problems in understanding the logic. In the next video we're going to solve the intermediate pattern and then proceed further to the advanced pattern. Do like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Thank you.